What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Opendoor. I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So starting off with data, we do have a lot of big things coming out this week that could really move the market. Monday, market is closed, so it is a shorter week. But starting off on Tuesday, we have ADP employment. And over the last couple of reports, hasn't been the greatest. So if we get a little bit of glimmer of hope, the market might really kind of blow that out of proportion and just start to really rally higher, because right now the market's gone down a lot, especially a lot of growth and speculative stocks have gone down a lot over the last 1 month. So even in Opendoor's case, down 35.86%. So the market's going to be really looking for a good reason to move higher, and there's a lot of good things coming out, like I said, this week. So ADP is going to be one thing. Wednesday, we have mortgage applications, mortgage market index, building permits, housing starts. A lot of that will kind of translate to Opendoor and kind of move it. But later in the afternoon at 1 o'clock, we do have the FOMC minutes. So the market's going to be really looking at that very closely on how the members are oriented, whether they're more favoring rate cuts or still kind of sticking to their status quo. Thursday, we just have the typical stuff, a lot of Fed speakers, initial jobs claims. Thursday is going to be a big deal for earnings, so I'll kind of go over that in a second. And then on Friday, we have GDP and PCE. So it is going to be a fun ride. As far as on the Friday as well, we do have this right here. So the Supreme Court ruling. There's been 2 adjournments, so this is now going to be the 3rd attempt. So potentially we could get another adjournment and it kicked down the line a little bit. But this is, if there is a ruling, that could be a very big, impactful thing for the broader market. But companies unveiling their earnings. So we have a lot of big names, a lot of which is linked to consumers. And so the market's, again, going to be really looking at this. And lately, the market's been focused on future guidance, more so than just top and bottom line. So Walmart, we've seen them really be able to move the broader market, but yours truly after hours on Thursday. And so currently, the expected earnings is negative 9 cents for the earnings per share, 594.02 million for the revenue. Over the last 90 days, 1 positive and 3 negative revisions to the earnings per share. If we kind of break that down a little bit more, so that for their upcoming earnings, that does work out to be 28.9% year-over-year growth, negative 14 the low, negative 9 the high. For the revenue, we have that year-over-year negative 45%, 589 the low, 604 the high. So in general, I think it is, like I mentioned, going to be largely the future guidance of what CAS gives, and that's going to be the big kind of mover for Opendoor. Plus, the market's going to be really looking at what was stated last earnings, because I feel like the last earnings, they got a very big pass on everything, because CAS just came in, said a lot of big things. Market kind of disregarded everything that happened prior to that. So no different than this upcoming earnings. The market's going to be listening to CAS and most likely trying to tear it apart. At the same time, they kind of mentioned that a lot of acquisitions were going to increase 35% in this last earnings, or this last quarter. Talking about profitability or break even. There's a lot of things that was stated last earnings that the market's going to be looking at how well they achieve that. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a very bumpy ride. Currently, the expected move is about 13.1%. So about a 58-cent move in either direction is anticipated. So far from the bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that 5 to 550. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 4. So again, kind of within that set range of about 13%, give or take. Shorts, they haven't really been doing too much, in all honesty. I kind of took a week off, as I mentioned in my Friday video, but yeah, shorts, honestly, I haven't really been doing anything of significance since December. So going into this upcoming week, 15.46% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 120 million shares overall being shorted. So anticipate shorts to be very active post earnings. As well, similarly, analyst ratings will be probably rushing in for Friday, so that will really impact Opendoor as well. Aside from all that, with it right now and closing on Friday at 445, it is trading between this S2 and this S3. So in comparison to a lot of other kind of growth and speculative stocks, Opendoor not doing too great. So 435 and then 457 is going to be the next strong support and target. And then, like I mentioned, that 50 or 60 cent move in either direction could be potentially on the table. But going into this upcoming week, I don't sugarcoat things, so hopefully a lot of people do appreciate these types of videos. There's more than enough individuals out there just mindlessly pumping or just trying to bring the stock down purposefully. I like to be very neutral, unbiased, but looking at the chart going into this upcoming week, it's not the greatest. Of course, the earnings could change the whole dynamic of that, but going into this upcoming week, it is below that 200-day moving average. Typically, you need 2 consecutive days to really signal a trend. So ideally, come Tuesday, we see a nice push higher above that 200 and as well 10-day moving average. So the 10-day moving average is that white line. That's kind of a big thing for momentum plays. But that 200-day moving average can be seen as kind of a death sentence. And not death sentence, that might be overreaction, but obviously we haven't been below that for quite some time, in fact. So last time it did break above that, it was on July the 16th. Last time it did kind of break below that. It failed to really stay above that in December of 2024. And prior to that, it looks like it hasn't actually stayed above that since pretty much November 24th, 2023. So yeah, ultimately, moral of the story is that is a very big deal. And best case scenario, Opendoor hits a home run, gives good future guidance, and really pushes higher, and then maybe even to that 50-day moving average. But again, going into this upcoming week, not the greatest. For those of you that have been wishing for cheaper prices, because I've been covering Opendoor for quite some time, and yeah, a lot of people, even at the top, people were saying, hey, you know what? I wish it went down to $5. I would kind of sell my children and buy it. There you have it. Not sell your children, but you guys get the idea. Like, put your money where your mouth is. If you do believe that Opendoor's had a pretty good deal, then yeah, have at it. So yeah, I think overall this upcoming week, I really do like 𝗪𝗧. I know there's a lot of big risks in the broader market right now that it's all kind of snowballing everything out of control a little bit. But 𝗪𝗧 is a very big disruptor, and we've seen a lot of other stocks such as Palantir, Robinhood go through some crazy expansion, and most likely Opendoor is going to do the exact same thing if 𝗪𝗧 can execute. So let me know your thoughts on Opendoor. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.